Hello and thank you for watching. Today I'm going to be making some vegan banana bread, and for that I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of flaxseed, which I'm going to put into 2 tablespoons of lukewarm water and set to one side. 2 cups of flour. Almond flour is ideal, however I have a little supply issue at the moment due to the current circumstances, so I'm using multigrain flour. And to that I'm adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and a pinch of salt. I need 4 large ripe bananas which have been mashed, half a cup of vegetable oil, 1/3 of a cup of unsweetened vegetable milk. I'm using oat milk. Some chopped raisins, 1/4 to half a cup, or citrus pieces, which is what I'm using today. 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. As you can see, I've already set out my ingredients and measured them. Let's begin. First, preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 170 degrees Celsius. Let's start by moving the ingredients to one side so that we have room to work. As you can see, the flaxseed has become gelatinous. Put the oil to one side, the milk and the citrus zest. Set your bowls to one side. Combine your bananas and the milk, in this case oat milk. Add to it the flaxseed. Mix the wet ingredients together to make a slurry. Set that just to one side. Now with your bowl, add the mix the dry ingredients together in the bowl. I'm just using a fork to make life easier for me. Add to it raisins or lemon zest or citrus zest, whatever you wish to add. Just give it a gentle mix. Add to that the wet ingredients. The noise in the background is the oven. For some reason the fan has decided to join in the conversation. Mix that together with the dough. Now you may need to add some more liquid to this as you go along. smells delicious. Add to it the vegetable oil. Of course, the best part of this is cleaning all the pots and dishes and pans and everything later on. I always enjoy that bit. I use the dishwasher, which in this case is me. I'm going to add a little bit more flour to that because it looks a little too wet for me. I tend to do this by eye. Obviously, if you're using coconut flour, you will find that coconut flour is extremely absorbent, and as a result you will need far less coconut flour than you will almond flour or regular flour. Almond flour seems to absorb about the same amount as ordinary flour. That's a bit better. Add a little bit more. Right now you could do with some smell-o-vision because this smells absolutely delicious with the cinnamon and the banana. That's a bit better. It all depends on how wet the bananas are, how big the bananas are, so you have to kind of adjust accordingly. Make sure it's all nicely mixed. This is more of a cake mixture than a bread mixture. It reminds me of my grand's baking many years ago. Okay, so that seems about reasonable. I'm going to put that into a loaf tin. My loaf tin has a silicone liner, so let's see if I can do this without obscuring it too much from the camera. My apologies if I do. Now you can drizzle this with icing if you want, however I tend not to use sugar, although honey is often, oh dear, I kind of missed the baking tin there, didn't I? I tend to use honey sometimes. As you can tell, this looks really professional. I am of course joking. So I spread this out as evenly as I possibly can. There we go. I so want to do what I used to do with my grandmother, and that's clean the bowl with a spoon. However, I'm going to avoid doing that. Now we're going to bake it in the preheated oven That was the oven telling me it's preheated for between 40 and 50 minutes. However, times will vary depending on your oven as to whether it's going to be cooked. I would suggest skewering with a toothpick or a fork just to see if it comes out clean and dry in the middle after that time. If not, leave back in the oven for a further 10 to 15 minutes, checking regularly. Right, so it's off to the oven and let's see how it goes.